Welcome everybody to Safari Live, the magnificent Djuma and Arathusa game reserves here in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. My name's Hayden Turner, Andrew on camera this afternoon. What a pleasure it is to be here. We just stopped because we saw this whiteback vulture up in this tree here, so we are going to go and investigate into that a little bit more. If it's your first time with us, welcome. This is the biggest safari vehicle on the planet and you're all aboard. This is an experience where we interact with you. You can ask us questions through hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or questions at WildEarthTV on email. It'd be lovely to hear from you. It's great, and if you're a regular viewer, welcome back. There's so many wonderful people out there that have given me a great welcome back this morning, so thank you to everyone. What a cracking day here. 26 degrees centigrade or Celsius and about 78 Fahrenheit. It was quite cold this morning. We all had our jackets on. It's turned out to be a really lovely afternoon, and still a little bit of cloud cover, and we're just going to tootle around here and see what we can see. Pete's out on the other side of the reserve, which we'll catch up with him very soon, but I just wanted to check out what was going on here. Now, this bird could be sitting here for any reason. It could be just resting. It could be that there is a kill somewhere there. We're not really sure, but we are going to drive up very, very slowly. He may fly off. But at the moment I'm just going to sort of check out the area. I was looking through the binoculars before we went live, and I can't see anything on the ground, and I can't see any other vultures either. So we're just going to gently go up there. Now, vultures, most of you would probably know that they're a great indicator species for behaviour that's happening around. They've got incredible eyes in the sky, and it is really the bush telegraph. They will pick up signs of another animal or animals reacting to a kill or something like that when they're soaring. They've got incredible eyesight. Wingspan, these guys up to about 2.6 meters, which is about 8-9 feet wide, which is an absolutely incredible expanse. But I'm going to just go up a little bit closer. We'll just see what happens. It could be just that he is resting, and there's no thermals for him at the moment. The wind is very, very light, but you should be seeing a few more if there was a kill. So we'll just gently go up here. Very, very skittish birds, vultures, and we've just got to be a little bit gentle here. He probably will fly, but I'll get a little bit closer for Andrew to get a better shot. How's that, mate? It is a little bit of a silhouetted shot at the moment, but I'll just stop for you there so we get just a little bit better a look at him. Really beautiful bird. Vultures play a huge role in the ecosystem. You know, they are scavengers, and they will be looking for a meal and to clean up anything they possibly can. They've got exceptional ability to clean a carcass very quickly, but this bird by itself, it looks like to me he is resting, or she for this matter. I can't quite see from here. I'll pull him up on my app, on my bird app in a minute. Just want to gently go, and the whole idea is when you are viewing wildlife anywhere, this slowly approach is really important. The whole idea is for us to try and not change their behaviour. We can get a little bit closer. I do have to drive past him, so he may tolerate us or he may take off. A little bit closer here. It's just about to fly off now. That was inevitable, because the road does go right past, but he will find another tree to perch on just across the way there. Just keeping our eyes open here though. There would probably be more perched in trees around, and as I said, very, very skittish. They will wait until one makes the initial move, and once one goes in and gets the courage, the rest of them will follow, and then that incredible feeding frenzy happens, and they can clean a carcass in such a short amount of time. They've got fantastic barbs on their tongue as they rip off with that incredibly sharp beak a piece of meat. Those barbs pull the meat back into their mouth very, very quickly. The other thing that's really interesting, if they do fill their crop very, very quickly, and they get so heavy that they can't take off, which you do see sometimes after they've gorged themselves, they will regurgitate their food so they can get away from a predator. Because lions will take them on, hyenas will take them on if they're annoying a lion pride or someone on a kill. But I can't see anything around, and there is no other birds. So that individual is probably just resting there, and he's just gone right across the other side there. I can see on another treetop. So they will get that fantastic elevated spot. They're just a great bird to see. I do love my raptors, and as the guys have built the whole team has built a fantastic bird list over the last year. Can you believe it? We've been doing this now for 12 months here on Nat.Geo Wild. It's just been an incredible experience, and what an incredible team has been built over time. Very, very proud to be a part of it. Incredible team of presenters, incredible team of technical expertise, direction from everyone in final control, and all right down to all of the people that look after our camp and look after us and make sure that we can get out here and do this twice a day. So it's a fantastic thing to be back. And I'm just going to head down to a little area I love called Sandy Patch, and we are starting to see the first sort of impala lambs dropping, which is a fantastic time because that will start to increase over the next 2 or 3 weeks, a month. And I'm just going to have a little trickle down here and have a look. But you know what, let's cross to Pete and see what he's up to, and I'll come back to you guys just now.
Well, good afternoon everyone from other vehicle out here. My name is Peter Pretorius. Looking forward to the rest of this afternoon. It's perfect weather-wise, nice and relatively speaking cool, and also it's my first time on the vehicle with 76, 78. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Okay, sorry guys. We sort of first day today, H and myself just catching up with everything, and just getting some information there from the control room from Tara and Nikki. Nice impalas here. I know Hayden was saying he's going to look around this afternoon for female impala. We're all hoping to see one maybe have a lamb. We are in the sort of the throes of lambing season now. It should be starting, a lot very soon. The last 3 or 4 days the odd lamb has been spotted. So that would be great to see. Hayden's going to look around for that in the Sandy Patch area. I'm just slowly heading towards Arathusa direction, but I was in the process of telling you that this is my first time on drive with Jean-Ray behind the camera, and it's going to be fun. I've seen some of Jean-Ray's stills images. Obviously I've seen lots of his film work. He's a great guy to work with as well, so it's nice to spend some time in the vehicle, Jean-Ray. I won't always make such a long thing about it, but it's awesome to be on the drive with you. And as I said, I've seen Jean-Ray's still images as well, and he's a very good photographer, obviously very good with camera. So looking forward to seeing the artistic aspect as well, the compositional aspect, and also just getting to know each other on the vehicle. It's always a nice relationship to explore. So that's a little highlight for me this afternoon. I have a new hat. Came from the UK. Thank you, Hayden, brought it along. And for those of you that have been on drive with me for a long time, I used to have a favorite hat that was almost exactly this. So now that I found it again, it took me a long time. I'm probably going to get 10 or 20 of them, and then I don't have to worry about hats again ever. So that's another little small thing. On the big things, it's a beautiful afternoon. As I said, it's that sort of almost perfect summer temperature. There's a bit of a breeze. It's hot enough that you sweat, but cool enough with the breeze that it's just nice and refreshing almost. The beautiful, I've said beautiful 10 times now, but it really is a beautiful afternoon. The rain we've had over the last few days is starting to turn the bush into this lovely sort of lawn-like look. And what a road to drive down. We're going to show you the views down there just now towards the horizon. Impala, kudu there in the background as well, a couple of big male kudus. We'll get a bit closer. sometimes I might do something like this. Okay, now it's walking this. Like this leaf in the foreground would be nice to give you like a depth perception, and I'll try and position it so it gives you a nice shot. Well, welcome back. Disappeared there for a bit. We are fine-tuning and tweaking and always trying to improve things, building up to Big Cat Week. So don't worry, this is not something that'll be a concern later on, but lost you there for a bit. We are back. We've moved slightly. Beautiful view of one of my favorite antelopes. Kudus, as I started saying just before we lost you. Kudus are one of the most striking, stunning, regal antelope out here. Absolutely beautiful. This is a big male. He's in his prime. He will be one of the main contenders in the next rutting season, which is next winter, so about 6 months from now. Long spiral horns, beautiful markings on the back. And of course, Kudus are browsers. This is a perfect example. For those of you that joined us this morning on the AM safari or the sunrise safari, I know James was talking about browsing and grazing. And browsing means they eat leaves. You can see lots of green leaves here, foreground, background, far in the bush, close by. This is a perfect place for a browser, lots of good food. And then you get animals that are also omnivores. So you get herbivores, things that eat plants, and that could be broken up into browsers like kudu, mixed feeders like the impala on the back that you can just see moving through there. Zebras, for instance, are grazers. But then you get omnivores, things that eat anything. We humans, generally speaking, are omnivores. I mean, there's a few that specify how they eat, but generally speaking, as a species, we're omnivores. Baboons, for instance, are omnivores. Jackals are omnivores. One animal that is an omnivore that people don't always realize, in other words, they will eat meat if opportunity is there, is a warthog. People don't always know that. Pigs as well. If they have the opportunity to get protein, they'll eat it. And speaking of warthogs, Hayden's going to tell you a bit more about them. We're going to continue on and see you back here in a bit.
Well folks, this is quite a lovely little encounter here, because often we see warthog and we stop and they stop and we turn the engine off and they run for their lives. There's this funny little thing, they look tough and that whatnot, but they actually can be really skittish. These two particular individuals are so chilled with us here, and we just thought, what a fantastic little sighting. So we've pulled over and we're really just enjoying these guys eating and just grazing away here. These are strictly diurnal, these creatures, so you will find that we're basically not seeing them any time after dusk. They find refuge in a burrow. It could be an excavated aardvark hole or old hyena den, and they'll have a series of those holes around the place in their territory, which they will then end up going into in moments of danger. And it just depends on what area they're in and how many around, but they'll move around them frequently. And the predators, I mean, everything, hyena even will hunt these, cheetah, leopard, lion, they all love, and wild dog they all love. But they do have a pretty serious bit of weaponry, and you can see those tusks. Andrew's just going to zoom in on those tusks, and they are pretty formidable weapons, so they do have to be very careful. A predator can get opened up very easily by one of those. Those tusks are used mainly for defense, but they will use them now and again to strip something off. They are grazing at the moment, but they have the ability to use that really hard shovel-like snout as well and dig up rhizomes or bulbs, depending on what season it is. There's a really funny thing too. I've seen the males sort of, you have a tendency to see a male out a little bit later than the females, which is interesting. They have a tendency to stay out after dark sometimes, but not for very long. But They're such great creatures, really, really comical, but at the same time very alert. And you can see them looking around, but having a great time on this new flush of grass that's come through. Just beautiful. So quiet here at the moment. It's just we really don't get to sit with warthogs this long. So I have to say, folks, it's a nice encounter. And I will just sit with them for a little bit longer because they normally just sprint. They're great, aren't they? We've got a question from Mischian in Dallas, Texas. Mischian, hi, how are you? Great to have you with us. Fantastic to have you on board. And a great question, what can I sort of compare a warthog for you to in weight and size? You're looking at a small pig, obviously in the swine family, and goodness, the females actually get bigger than some of the males. It's you do see females getting up to, just doing the conversion for you in my head. I obviously I work mainly in kilograms, but I've heard of records of up to 100 kilograms, so that's a little bit lighter than me, which is about, I think, about just over 210, 220 pounds. A really, really big female. But the males, you know, up to about the weight of a small man, 70 kilograms odd, or woman, which is what, compare that, I'm sorry, I'm doing my math here for you at the same time, 150 pounds maybe for the really, really big ones. So they get bigger than you think. It's a little bit difficult to get a comparison or something to compare it with there. About in inches at the shoulder, about 2 foot maybe, just a bit over. So it just really depends on the age and the size and the particular amount of food that they've got and how old they get to. But they get quite big, and they really do. Until you get up close to one, you don't realise how big they are. And they can definitely move. They really get up to speeds that are quite astounding. In an emergency situation where they had to run away, they'll get up to sort of 30 mile an hour for people working in miles, which is 50-ish kilometers per hour, and that's quite a speed. But they really, really run, and they can scoot through undergrowth or vegetation very, very quickly. And you've probably seen in either documentaries or potentially in the wild, that tail stands very erect, and all the other piglets or other pigs following will be able to see each other through the grass with that tail standing erect. Very comical, but it does have a fantastic function. Super, super animals. What a lovely, lovely encounter. What a super little encounter. So we've got a couple of questions if the female is pregnant. So I think it's Kitty. I couldn't quite. Steph and so saying she loves how they walk around on their knees, which is a function that they do to get down low and be able to use that shovel nose of theirs just to get down and dig through those tubers and graze comfortably. And Stephanie is asking if one of them is pregnant. There's a potential that one of them is pregnant, particularly this one. I'll just move up. I think this one up here could be. She's definitely around the belly. There's definitely a potential of that, but We're not sure. We couldn't really give an answer on that. But what a lovely little encounter there, folks, hey? Great to have a warthog, a really great warthog encounter, because they do scoot very, very quickly. So the great thing about looking at wildlife when we're out, we do come across things when we're driving around, and it might be a skeleton, it might be some tracks or signs or some fur or feathers or something like that, and we collect things like that now and again because it's a very, very good educational tool. And I think there's a man in a tent that's got something to show you. I'll see you just now.
Good morning. No, it's not morning at all. It's afternoon. It's after 4 o'clock. It's morning somewhere in the world, I'm sure. So wherever you are in the world, if it happens to be morning there, good morning to you, and good afternoon to the rest of you. My name is James Hendry. On camera we have Tebbs, and variously Scott Dyson as well will be joining us on camera today. Right, we have a few things to show you in this, the safari slash savannah slash quarantine clearing tent, and the first is a warthog skull. This, I believe, belonged to a warthog boar, and there would have been a boar hopefully in the group that you were looking at with Peter. I didn't look too carefully as to whether there was a boar there or not. And from here emanated the tusks, and the tusks are modified canines, which are these teeth here. Well, obviously mine aren't quite as long, but if sometimes it helps to have an analogy. So if you think of something like a leopard with the long teeth, that's what these are. These are the canines. It's the same thing. And very different from those of an elephant, of course, which are the incisors, which are the two front teeth here in an elephant. So different kind of teeth between the warthog and the elephant's tusks. The other interesting thing to note here, I think, is the size and amount of molar that they have. They don't have a huge amount of molar like an impala or a kudu or a buffalo, and I think that's because they're more omnivorous than those animals. They do eat lots of grass and tubers and that sort of thing, but they don't need to diet purely of grass, so they don't need to grind quite as much, and they certainly don't regurgitate their food like the herbivore, the ruminants do. Now, interestingly, well, here we go, for Eleanor in Johannesburg, you wanted to know how do they digest their food? Do they digest it like a cow does, a ruminant? No, they don't. The rumination is a very specific kind of digestive system that many animals have evolved, but they're in a separate order entirely. These are the part of a separate order of the cloven-hooved animals, and they are hindgut fermenters, much like I'm trying to think of another cloven-hooved hindgut fermenter. There aren't many actually, but similar to it's like a domestic pig. They don't regurgitate their food. It's not quite like a zebra or an elephant, which is they're true hindgut fermenters, but it's probably more like a hippopotamus, where there's a similar strategy to the digestion, but they don't regurgitate and re-chew their food like something like a ruminant would. So that's quite interesting. Now, while we're on this, I thought I'd just quickly show you a little microscope shot of this skull, and what we're going to do is put it over the top of a hole here, and this hole is from where a nerve would emanate. So we'll swap across to the microscope view now. Now we'll swap across to the microscope view. Final control to the microscope. A nerve hole. So nerves go in and out through these holes throughout the skull region, and you can see the little osteocytes, the places where I think those are osteocytes, where the bone will grow from. And I mean, obviously the skull is very old, and so it's starting to break up a bit now. Right, so that's the warthog skull. Now, the other thing I did want to show you, I'm going to have a quiz here. I'm not going to tell you what I'm looking at. I want you to look at this, please, on the microscope now, and have a guess at what this is. And then send through your answers, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV. Tell me if you know what this is. A, and B, if you would put that in your mouth. Right, that's enough of that one. Let's come back to me. Alright, and the last thing I'm going to show you here is this magnificent emperor moth. Now, an emperor moth belongs to the same order of insects the Lepidoptera that the moth Peter showed you belongs to. It's just a different family. So he was showing you a Burnet, and they belong to a different family to these, the emperor moths. And what we'll do is just stick him under the microscope, but before we do that, just take a note of the eye spots. That's what designated him an emperor moth. We don't know what kind he is. He isn't in the book that we have here now. Oh, sorry, there's an impala lamb around. Let's go quickly across to there and I'll tell you about the moth just now.
I'm just trying to show you here. Welcome back. That's from this side. We did mention the impala earlier, wanting to look for some young ones, and Jandra actually just did a good spot. I'm going to try and get you a little window through here. Here we go, that should work. Look at that. Tiny little lamb. You see the male impala smelling it. They're not likely to be the father. I mean, not impossible, but not likely. The mating season and the lambing season, you know, those males might have moved well off by then. And this is a tiny little guy, or girl. This little lamb would be anything between 6 and 24 hours old. I don't think more than that. So let's say it's a day old, a couple hours more than a day, a few hours less than a day, but tiny little baby. Amazing to think that, let's say 24 hours ago, that was folded up inside that female's stomach, to give it a generic space. I mean, it's not in her stomach obviously, but in that area of her body. It's amazing to think how they sit there, and how the females not only carry them until they're this big, but how they're still very active and mobile. They can still run away at great speed hours before they give birth to that lamb. Now obviously they needed to do that, otherwise you wouldn't have sort of stuck around for the next generation. So we all understand how it works, but it's still amazing that it does that, and that lamb then, once born, can within hours walk, run, balance on 3 feet to groom its paw, as it's doing now. Sorry, its hoof, not its paw. And again, we understand why. I mean, it's logic. You're born in the wild, you need to be precocial. The baby is what they call it, the term for being born ready to run and see and do everything. We all know why. I mean, the predators are going to chase them, and we understand it, but it's just absolutely beautiful to see it. I mean, you get millions of little miracles around us every day, millions of little magical things, whether it's insects and all the details that you see on them, or the flowers, or the impalas that are born, thunderstorms that we've seen the last few days. Thinking of that beautiful image, Scott shot this amazing picture with the lightning in it. For those of you who haven't seen it, stunning image. All these things around us every day, and maybe up there with that is what we're doing as well. The fact that we can drive around like this, look at these things, enjoy the impalas, and enjoy the view, enjoy the bushveld, enjoy the mountains in the distance, and the sky, and everything around us. I know I'm going on a little bit, but this is my first day back on drive, so I'm going to give myself a bit of leeway with sort of trying to get lyrical about it. But this really is amazing, and what we're doing here at this moment, the fact that you can sit anywhere in the world and join us for the safari, join us for this experience, I would say it's up there for me with things like baby impala and lightning storms. So yeah, thanks for driving along. Thanks for enjoying this with us. We are now in Arathusa, which is the sort of neighboring area to Djuma. A lovely area. We're going down to riverbed, some nice big trees around us here. Some of them dead obviously, so you've got these sort of tree skeletons. Great place. You often see big raptors on this, you know, things like vultures. Earlier on the drive with HT, you saw that vultures sitting up in the trees, and they like these dead trees because they can't fly into lush trees. You know, they've got wingspans of up to 5, 6, 7 feet, some of them, so they need open space and need nice strong branches to hold them. So this is the kind of place you'd often see raptors, big birds, and who knows what else. That's why we're here. We're going to look around and see what else we can find. Guys, also keep in mind, you're welcome to ask us questions, whether it is, you know, how fast can an impala run, or when do they give birth typically. They're sort of pertinent questions to what we're looking at, but also just general questions, maybe about Africa. Maybe you're thinking of coming to Africa and you're wondering what's a good time of year, or maybe you're wondering something about what's going on with us guys living out here, some of the sort of interesting points of living in such an amazing place as Kruger National Park. You can always ask questions. And you can do that, the easiest way to do that would be #SafariLive. And that gets through to the control room where the directors are, and they give those questions through to us and we can chat. We are on a runway that's busy being constructed, so this is not a typical game drive vehicle that you would see normally on drive, so it's, in case this seems odd to you, but they're busy building a proper runway, and not just a dirt runway, but a big sort of, what do you guys call it in the States? Asphalt, or exactly, asphalt roads or tar roads, hard top roads, whatever you want. Big enough that they can fly bigger planes in here. So that's why you're seeing that. Hello Tim. Yeah, Tim is just commenting there on the poor mother having to have such a big baby. But at the same time, she's lucky enough to have a baby that once it's born, it gets up and it does its thing. And I've recently been experiencing human babies, and my son only started walking about 2 weeks ago, and he's just over a year old. So the care aspect is quicker. That little Impala would be running around within minutes, still drinking milk, obviously reliant on the mother's feeding it, but they would within days start to eat little bits of grass and leaves as well, and that's also why they have those young ones this time of year. In summer, the beginning of summer, when it's raining, so there's lots of good food around, so the mother can be in good condition to produce that extra milk, but also there's nice, soft, nutritious, good food around for the youngsters to start their own feeding on it. So that process is really, really quick. From birth to independence, I mean, those lambs could be fully independent 6 months, 8 months old. Hello Rita. Rita's a little bit closer to where we are than some of you other parts of the world. Rita's from Johannesburg, which is one of the the biggest city in South Africa. If you're not familiar with South Africa that much. Rita, unfortunately, where I'm at the moment, I'm right on the edge of signal. In fact, we're only about 300 meters from where we had that amazing experience with Shadow when she killed the Impala, the last drive I did before today's ones. Rita, I heard you saying welcome back, heard you saying happy to be on drive, but I missed the rest of it, and that's just because the radio is breaking up, so I can hear only about 2 or 3 out of 5. Okay, cool, there I can hear it again. So guys, if I don't hear the details of what you're telling me at the moment, it's just because of where we are, but I do want to look around here. Rita, you were just asking, do they give birth at night or in daytime? They would give birth, I would say, probably sort of any time really, but I would say quite often during the night or the very early hours of the morning, going into the day, rather than sort of late in the day going into the night. And Impala are very secretive about it. In fact, we were talking about it yesterday with the guys. I stand to be corrected, but I don't think any one of us, or very few of us, have ever seen an Impala birth. I've never seen one. I've seen the babies very small, in other words, seconds, minutes after birth when they're still wobbly legged. But the birth itself, Impalas leave the herd, so if there's 50, 60, 80, 100 Impala, the female, when she knows she's about to give birth, she will go off into the bush a little bit, because the big herd obviously can attract attention, and then she'll give birth there and then come back to the herd. Okay, we're going to look around a bit more. It's funny how you remember specific places. This in there, that turnoff, if we drove in there right now, about 60 yards in, that's where that amazing experience with Shadow and the kill and then the hyenas and everything around it happened. Another place we've seen lots of amazing things, any of the waterholes, Boitela Dam, Arathusa Dam, all of those are great places to find wildlife. Hayden's at Buffelshoek Dam, he's going to chat to you a bit, we'll see you back in a while.
Well folks, this is a favourite little spot of mine and everyone here on Safari Live. It's the place that's really only got an expanse of water big enough for one creature at the moment. Take a look. They weren't here this morning, but there's 3 hippos back in Buffelshoek Dam here. The water level is very, very low at the moment, and they're probably about as submerged as they're going to get in this this water point at the moment. there's a lot of that cracked mud there. There's a couple of channels through there that they've been walking through, just to the right and left of where the animals are, and they will move from waterhole to waterhole during the evening, in the cooler parts of the night, where they go out and graze as well. But at the moment they're just lying and enjoying the last bit of water that's left here. Hopefully we are going to get some rain, big enough rain that's going to put some serious water in here. If you just have a look, Andrew, over the other side on the bank there, if you pan back a little bit, the water level used to go right along the edge there and right around here. You can probably just see a line of where the water level used to be. It's gone down a considerable amount this year, and the rains are a little bit late, so we're all praying for rain at the moment, and it's definitely coming. It's definitely coming. We got a bit of a nice shower last night at about midnight. That was quite a beautiful downpour, but it only wets the ground. It's not enough. It's just puddles in the road and a little bit of water here and there, but nothing on the level that's what's needed for all these animals that are going to be dropping their calves and their foals and much more over the next few months. But these hippos are probably going to stay here until it comes out to graze tonight. Now the hippos will benefit from this little bit of rain, that this flush of grass. They will come out and have a beautiful grazing session away from a water point, and then make it back just before dawn to the safety of the water. You can also see there, Andrew, I'm pretty sure you've got the Egyptian geese and their little goslings behind there. There's only 4 of those little goslings left from 8. We talked about them this morning. And it's a hard life being a gosling in this part of the world. You can be eaten by so many things, whether it's a tortoise or whether it's a turtle, or another bird of prey, or a reptile. Loads of different predators would take a gosling. But these 4 have survived, and the mother and father are looking after them. We'll see how they get on. We'll keep count on those guys. So on the other dam camera over at Arathusa, there was a successful raising of 8 little goslings, which is fantastic. They've all made it to maturity. Let's hope these little awesome foursome will make it through. But you know, the hippos aren't obviously doing much other than staying in the safety of that area, so we might move on. But one thing I probably just want to revisit from we did this morning, and just a little bit of a plug of it. It's not an official, it's far from official, it's just a little bit of fun that we're doing over the next 2 weeks. We're going to call it Operation Wild Child, and basically I want to put this challenge out to you. Now, if you're watching Safari Live at home or at a friend's place, and you're either with your kids or your grandchildren or nephews or nieces, or there's a bunch of kids around from around the street or something, and they're not watching with you now, go and grab them. I challenge you now to sit down, at least watch for an hour and explain to them what's going on. Get them hooked. That's the whole thing I really want to try and do, is just have a little connection with your children and your family or friends, or what's going on at the moment in your world. Go and grab one of the kids and sit them down and have a chat with them and ask us a question. Tweet us at #SafariLive, or email us a question at questions@WildEarth.tv. And you know what? For a child to have their question answered down the barrel of that camera with you right now is a pretty special thing. So I challenge you now to go and find some of your kids, bring them around the computer or around whatever you're watching it on your tablet or on your mobile phone or whatever, and have a bit of a chat, and let's talk about some nature. We've got to get kids connected with nature. Right, let's see if this Land Rover can do its thing up here. Right. Okay, Landy. Hold on, Andrew. Let's see if we get it in gear here. Well, that's what this vehicle's supposed to do. Right, the great thing about what we do here is we've got so many things going on. We've got bushwalks, we've got James in the tent, we've got drives, we've got drones. It's all happening on Safari Live, and that's the beauty of the different types of things that we can show you. And what the guys have got on Walk for Now is going to show you something completely beautiful. Small, but the small things matter. We'll see you just now.
Welcome to the Sunset Walking Safari, and we have an incredible little creature here. It is called a dice moth. Well, this is, oh, and that's what he thinks of me. He's just defecated on me. This is the larval stage of a moth, a dice moth. Look at how it's waving those around. He wants to go to the next. Here we go. Most incredibly beautiful caterpillar. This is the first one I've seen this season. And the reason it's called a dice moth is the adults have markings very similar to a set of dye on their wings, but they are incredibly beautiful. And out with the rain, feeding. I'm going to try. Oh, he's just. You can see how it waves those wings. I'm not sure if wings is the correct word, but modified spines almost. And that's probably to keep predators at bay, to make him look a lot scarier than he is. As you can see, I'm handling him, whoopsie, with no problem. They are incredibly beautiful. Whoopsie, sorry guy. By the way, my name's Brent Leo Smith, and I have Brian Djuma on camera, and we're out and about, not only looking for these incredible small things that are out here in the African bush. We're busy in an area where we had leopard tracks this morning. After the rain, it's proving very difficult to see any tracks, but we're still checking the area. And the wonderful thing about being on foot is you are able to spot incredible creatures like this. This particular little chap was spotted by Stefan, who's our security detail, who wanders around with us in the bush. I'm not sure how close can you see. Can you see the little dots on his body? It actually almost looks like, I'm trying to have a look. I thought I saw a mite on his body.
Okay, let me move back a little bit.
When you see those little black spots, that's not what I was talking about.
Hang on.
I thought I saw a tiny little mite run across his body, but I seem to have lost it as it's gone into the dark. Look at him, he's keeping very still now. Oh, not sure about that. An incredibly beautiful creature. Guys, we've got animals alarm calling. There we go. That's probably the leopard. As exciting as this little dice moth is, we're going to pop him down. I'm going to put him back on the thing. We've got kudu alarm calling back to the area where we last had leopard tracks. So we're going to move. While we do that, we've got quite a long distance to cover to those alarm calls. We're going to cross to James in the tent, and hopefully we've got some good news shortly.
Well, that is extremely exciting stuff. I hope the inimitable Leo Smith finds that leopard. If anyone's going to, I suspect it will be him. Well, we're going to show you something called a pill millipede while he's knocking about trying to find the leopard, and I'll keep an eye on the screen making sure that I can see him. We'll nip straight across to the microscope shot, and there you have the pill millipede. And they are different from the normal worm-like millipede in that they look like pills, really. They're born with 3 segments, and they only get up to about 12 segments long, whereas the normal millipede gets up to about 100 segments long. So that's him, and next to him is a piece of his dung, which is not, I suppose, that fascinating, but interestingly, that he's been sat in a Tupperware. We'll release him just now. He's not dead, actually. That little piece of dung there is made up of old detritus from plants. That's what they eat, and the pill millipede is in that kind of a sort of rolled up ball in order to protect himself from any predator that might want to come and get him. So that's what he looks like there. That's what he looks like there. Right, now I'm going to tell you quite an interesting story. I struggled to explain this adequately earlier to the final control. That was the pill millipede there. We're going to put him back in. Anyway, this, what I'm showing you here, let's have a look at him first without the microscope. There's some lichen here. Now a lichen, I'm not referring to werewolves, which are sometimes referred to as the lichens. I'm referring to this incredible symbiosis of fungus and algae that forms an entirely different living kingdom. So where before we used to think of there being the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, there are actually at least 7 distinct kingdoms, and this is one of them. There may actually be different kingdoms of these lichens. So let's put him under the microscope, it under the microscope, and I'll just show you these amazing sort of tubular structures. There we go, in focus, sort of. And this thing is it's a symbiosis, like I say, between fungi, so that fungi are made of filaments, and in between the filaments of the fungi live the algae. And what the algae do is photosynthesize and provide this kind of symbiotic organism with carbohydrates from photosynthesis, and then what the fungi do, they're really good. They're used by termites to digest the cellulose and lignin in sort of wood and other plant material. So the filaments of the fungi digest the wood, the host, and various other bits of plant, while the algae produce photosynthates from the sun and from the carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere. It's really a quite astonishing thing. Right. Now, what we're going to do is go across to the new drone commander for the day. This is, of course, Wiam the Wildebeest Doornbrach, and he is looking, hopefully, at some impala. So let's go across to him, and there we go, I can see them. Unfortunately, Wildebeest is roughly at the same height as the satellite that's doing our broadcasting, so I can't see an enormous amount of what's going on with these impala. But lovely to watch the herd from above like this. So we can see them all scratching away at each other. That's about as interesting as it gets from this particular height. But now what you should try and look out for, and I mean I'm very new to this as well, so you're in the same boat as I am, is to check out whether you can see any kind of odd interactions. Is there any bullying going on? Are there social interactions that you might not notice? You can see also the enormous bellies on those ewes. That is amazing. You can't really see it from the side like that, but they are all about to pop and produce a little baby like the one Peter found a little bit earlier. So this will soon to become from well, I suppose what would be a breeding herd, it will soon become a nursery herd with a lot of little babies. The males will still be around. They'll be lurking around on the outside of the herd, but otherwise they will live on their own on the outskirts. Okay, let's head across to Hayden Turner, HT. There he is. He's driving along, I don't know where, I don't know what he's looking for either, but he'll tell you about that, and we'll see you just now.
So we just left Buffelshoek Dam, just cruising along through this little area that I haven't been down since I've been back today, and it's a lovely little bit of open woodland, and you never know what's around the next corner, folks, that's for sure. It's a great thing to be able to just drive down these roads and not know what's going to be next, and that is the beauty of Safari Live. It is live, there's no script, we just go out and find what we can find and do our best to try and bring these fantastic encounters to all of you wonderful people that are with us. Just turn my Game Drive channel down a little bit. Perfect temperature, it's just beautiful today, and you're definitely starting to get that gorgeous green coloration coming through. A lot of the impala that you've probably been seeing this morning and this afternoon folks, I just saw a little head go in here, and I'm just going to turn off for a second to see if it was what I think it was. I thought it was a dwarf mongoose. Just go into this little termite. Oh yep, there we go. Can you see?
Maybe head a bit to the right, HD.
Just there.
Perfect.
Just popped his head out. He's just gone back in. Let's just see if they get a little bit more. I might just go forward a little bit for you, Andrew. Oh yeah, okay, rightio. I see now they're just coming out of different holes, so they will use this as a little safety spot. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm just doing a bit of a core stability exercise here for you because I'm leaning right back. Little beautiful little squeaks you can hear, alarm calls or sort of danger communication. There's something that they're not quite happy with, and that's just a little bit of a big vehicle sitting close to them, but you will see those little heads pop up and little babies there. This is a band of dwarf mongoose, which is so beautiful to see. I'm just trying to keep my head out of the way. It's really hard to sit where I'm sitting. Look at that, isn't that fantastic? Very busy little mammal. This little band will be foraging around this area looking for anything they can get their little teeth into. Invertebrates, small mammal, small reptiles. And look at that, aren't they fantastic? They're youngsters, those ones. And there's another couple just popped out just here. If we sit here for a little bit longer, we may be able to. I'm just going to try and pass my head past that way, Andrew, and then that way that gives you a bit more scope to have a look around there, mate, because they are popping their heads out of all different locations, and they tiny little baby ones over the top there, but there's an adult just where Andrew's got his so they're such busy little creatures. Tiny little guys over on the top of that one, Andrew. Yeah, they got some really great. They're going to get a little bit more confident with us, I think. Got a lovely message from Richard. Richard, thank you so much for watching. And Richard's message is that his life has become so much brighter by watching Safari Live every day. Well, I tell you what, Richard, you've made my day, mate, hearing that sort of thing, because that is why we do what we do. It's this connection that we have with you on our vehicle with us, watching this daily, and it is the joy of what we do, bringing these pictures to you, and you're in the moment, you're here with us live, and that is what the special thing is about. Thanks so much, Richard. Really, really kind words, mate. I hope you're enjoying it. Just want to sit here for a little bit longer, folks, and see if they get a little bit more bold and comfortable with us. There's little heads poking out here and there. At the moment, you can see that little one behind Andrew there. Now they're starting to get a little bit more bold. Okay, guys, we're going to cross quickly to the other guys, and they're tracking something very special. See you now.
we're right in the area where we had those alarm calls, and we've run here as fast as we could, and we're just trying to see what's here. We're just going very carefully. And I'm hoping it's the male leopard we've been tracking. Get a very brief visual of him earlier. We're just trying to confirm the best place to get him. As soon as we've got a good sight of him, we're going to go Peter or Hayden and get the game drive there for him. We hear that Franklin moving. Hear that Franklin alarm calling? It's incredible that camouflage that these guys have. I'm pretty sure he's just here. Just here, all the birds. So I think he might have moved deeper into that little drainage line. What I am going to do, because I'm 100% certain that leopard is here, we did have a very brief visual of him, is I am going to go Peter or HT, whoever's closest, into this block. And hopefully it doesn't move. Yeah, the Franklin. We're just going to come one last little look, see if we can spot this leopard. Franklin's moving on the ground. There is Franklin alarm calling that way. So we're going to go across to Peter while we find out exactly what's going on. I am going to start getting HT into this area because this leopard is here.
Well, this is as any afternoon does on a game drive, developing in mysterious and beautiful ways. Lots of excitement. Listening for alarm calls, but I believe Brent and them have found a leopard, and it might take a little bit more time to get down into exactly where it is. We're sitting with some dwarf mongoose, the same as Hayden had a bit earlier. We're just driving along the road and we just saw one of those heads pop out of the road, literally where those two are sitting now. There's a hole going into a termite mound under the track, so decided to stop. Well, that's a bit of playing going on there. Presume maybe the one that's grabbing the other one. If you look very carefully, look at that. You can see the little hands coming around the rump of that one. I'm guessing it's a youngster. Look at that. Oh, it is a youngster. Awesome. Very social animals. I mean, dwarf mongoose are brilliant little predators, great hunters, great pack group or pack hunters. They catch anything from small lizards and little frogs to insects to all kinds of things. So fantastic to see these guys. And also fantastic to have the prospect of a leopard for the afternoon. We are still much further to this sort of southwest, I guess, from where Brent and even Hayden would be. Hayden's on his way there. He'll get in there with a vehicle hopefully, so we can't promise. Leopards can disappear any second, anything can change, but it looks like we've got a chance of leopard. We're slowly moving along. We'll be at Red Dam soon, and then probably slowly make our way up towards Western Gowrie. Maybe even go over a little peek at that leopard as well if Hayden finds it. Sorry, Sarah, I got some of your question there. What is the greatest what of South Africa? The greatest myth about South Africa that I'd like to change. Ooh, that's quite a big question. Hello, Sarah, from Ohio. Let's have a look in here. This is one of the waterholes. Oh, what's that? Egyptian geese flying away. You can see an eagle up ahead, but it's just landed a bit far. We'll see if we can see it. This has got some more water in it. I don't know how dry it was, but I would guess Red Dam would have been dry. There we go. Look at that little bird. That'll be a black little fork-tailed drongo chasing that eagle. It looks like a Wahlberg's at a quick glance. Still chasing it. And I would quite happily compare that drongo to John Ray at the moment behind the camera, because that was well followed. Well done. They were moving. Guys, this was dry. Tara was just letting me know that the last time they saw this a couple of days back, no water yet. So this is just from the rain, probably in the last 24 hours. We had a nice downpour yesterday morning and last night. So nice to see the waterholes filling up. Sarah, the greatest myth. I don't really know. I can't think of an answer right now. I can't think of what I would like to change. I think the greatest one perhaps would just be that you know, that Africa is far away and dangerous and you can't go there. Oh wow, look at that. There's another Wahlberg's eagle getting harassed by that drongo. Awesome, and we're getting a close seat here as well. Lovely, look at that drongo coming right in there. A story I've told a few times before. I watched a drongo once harass a big raptor like that in flight. And the raptor actually managed to hit it with its head while they were flying, and the drongo fell to where we lost sight of it into the trees, and we thought, oh, wonder if it's alright. And 10 seconds later the drongo came flying out and went at it again. So tenacious little guys, and they would just basically harass the eagle as they're doing now until they can chase it away. And if they chase it away far enough, it's not in their area anymore, and they leave it. Nice to be in the vehicle with you, John Ray. Enjoyed that. Cool. Let's go look around. So yeah, I would say probably that is people tend to think, you know, one of the questions I love getting is, you know, when's the best time to come to Africa? And my answer is always the same, and the best time is the first opportune moment. The first time you can do so, do it. And the same with, you know, people think, well, I want to go to Africa, I want to go see eagles and leopard and sunrises and, you know, acacia trees, all those things that you associate with Africa, giraffe, zebra. But then they think, oh, well, you know, it's dangerous, there's Ebola and there's malaria and there's crime or whatever. There's a lot of things everywhere in the world. But in the end, if you're going to be traveling as a tourist to a tourist destination, you will have people looking after you, whether it's the airline or the company that's organizing your travel or the lodge where you're staying. So they'll make sure that everything's fine. Most of South Africa doesn't even have malaria. Where we are here, there used to be a lot of malaria, now it's almost non-existent. Ebola is something you don't have to worry about, because Ebola is actually closer to Europe than it is to South Africa in terms of the geographical layout of the land. So my point is just that many people tend to have all these reasons that they think are real reasons stopping them from getting in an aeroplane and flying and going to Africa and going to see a wilderness area, whether it's in Africa or Asia or Europe or America, it doesn't matter. But people want to do things. We all want to do things. We want to go see, you know, grizzly bears or tigers or lion in the wild, and then you think, okay, I want to do it. This and this and this and this and this is the reasons why I can't do it. And often those reasons are misconstrued or not even true or not necessary or not practical to the situation. So I guess if I had to break a myth about South Africa or African travel for that matter, is that often people might think it's dangerous because of all these things they perceive, but if you go and look at it, you know, malaria might not be a problem. I mean, I come from Namibia, and malaria doesn't even exist in a lot of it. In South Africa, malaria doesn't exist in a lot of the parks. If you go to lodges like the beautiful places in this area, you know, you're going to have beautiful mosquito nets around your rooms. You're going to have the mosquitoes would be sprayed around the rooms. There's no, malaria is not something that will affect you. It's not something you'd even have to think about if you didn't sort of believe it beforehand. So that would be the biggest thing. Exactly. Abby, I agree with you. I think you're agreeing with what I'm saying, and I'm drawing it out too long now, but it really is that. It's just, you know, there's many reasons for you to do this, and many of the reasons why people think they can't do this are imaginary or are a myth rather than reality. And that's maybe what I would like to say to you, Sarah, is if you ever thought of it, maybe you have traveled already to Africa. If you have before, you were worried about a few things, read up on it. Obviously you want to know what's going on. You don't want to come here and worry about things, but I mean, for instance, I don't really know where I'm going, so sort of driving and then deciding where we go when we get to the next junction. You know, for instance, the tourism industry in Namibia and South Africa was very, very heavily influenced by Ebola end of last year in Central Africa. Now, obviously, Ebola is terrible, and it's a horrible thing to happen. But in Namibia, the first quarter, tourism was influenced by about 25% drop in tourism. And those were things that were booked already, often, and then cancelled. And in Namibia, a lot of our tourism actually comes from Europe. And ironically, a lot of those countries where people were coming from, physical, in terms of physical distance, they were closer to where the Ebola was than we were in Namibia. But people don't realize it because they just assume that it's all closer together, perhaps because they think of Africa. So it's just those kind of myths in terms of thinking almost that I would like to be. Great question, Sarah. Sorry, at first I didn't know how to answer it. It's always nice to get a question that sort of leaves you, in South Africa we say stumped, leaves you stumped. It wouldn't make sense to you in North America because you don't play cricket. But stump would almost be like 3 strikes. You know, you're suddenly standing there thinking, what do I do next? So I was stumped there for a little bit, but actually quite like the thinking around it there. Thank you. Enjoyed that. Nice question. The Impala Plains, open grassland area. Again, like everything at the moment, has a golf course look to it. In a month or two, this will be tall grass, sort of knee height, hip height even. We're very lucky to experience this. Even for Big Cat Week, it's going to be stunning to experience this sort of explosion of summer where it goes from really dry, hot, dusty, brown, not much food, then the rain comes and you have this garden-like view. Well, there's a couple of monkeys up ahead, and keep in mind, as you can, I'm sure, have done, Brent and him are following up with that leopard. Hayden is heading there as well, hopefully to see it once they find it, to get the vehicle in. Obviously from a vehicle you could see it much better, but I'm pretty sure there's no leopard close to us now, because if there were, 9 out of 10 times, no, 99 out of 100 times, these monkeys would see that leopard and make a big noise and tell us about it. Although this is more challenging than a flying eagle. All those monkeys have disappeared. Guys, that tree that we're looking at, no jokes, I saw at least 3 monkeys go in there, and I'm going to try. I can't see one with the naked eye. It's actually quite funny. No, come on, let's see. We're going to show you one. They sneaky little guys. They'll climb up there, and I've seen this. They go and sit behind a branch, and they just sit with a branch like this, and they just look at him, and they see you, they go behind it again, and they do the same thing. So we're going to move. There's 1, 2. A bit like, where's Wally? There's one right up there. Sneaky guys. Monkeys, they were on the ground when we spotted them, which is not that often you see it. Monkeys, they're very happy when they're in trees, or at least close to trees, so that if danger is around, they can hide in the trees. You know, monkeys are small enough that they would be potential prey for your big raptors. Not a Wahlberg's eagle like we saw earlier. They'd be a little bit small for them, the eagle. But martial eagle, black eagle, potentially could take monkeys. There we go. Now he's getting curious about us. See what he's doing? I'm bobbing my head up and down as well sometimes. That makes them a little bit like, hey, what you doing? Stop monkeying around. That's sort of like a teenager, young adult, you know, so still full of energy and curiosity, not quite as sort of Now, the bigger monkeys can be a little bit nonchalant sometimes, but this guy, as you can see, very curious. Sorry about the camera moving, John Ray, but see if this one can bob his head a bit more. Come on. Awesome. Of course, these are called vervet monkeys, referring to the blue coloration you get on the males when they mature. In Afrikaans, we actually quick for them. Monkeys are very, very quick and agile, and obviously going up into the trees. So not typical that lions would eat monkeys. Leopard maybe a little bit more so, which is why monkeys are so very, very alert for leopard. And if they see leopard, they make a big noise. That noise I was making just now, just amplified, and the whole troop will go nuts. So the whole shrewdness is one of the collective nouns for monkeys. They will call that leopard and make sure the leopard knows that it's been seen. But so yeah, I would say around this area, leopard probably eat them now and once in a while. But out here, leopard would be first, would be impala in terms of the most likely prey for them. Impala, warthogs, steenbok, duiker, and for the lions, of course, in this area, buffalo now and once in a while. But out here, leopard would be first, would be impala in terms of the most likely prey for them. Impala, warthogs, steenbok, duiker, and for the lions, of course, in this area, buffalo, and then zebra, kudu, waterbuck. Right, well, we're going to slowly roll along. This is getting into that exciting part of the afternoon. It's always exciting, but getting towards sunset, more things get active, predators start getting active. It's that crepuscular time when activity is at its height. And we're going to look at something small with the tent view and what we're experiencing there, and then see from there. Enjoy it. We'll see you back in a bit.
Right. Well, very exciting times out there. If we do cut away suddenly, it's because Leo Smith has managed to do something other than wander around in the bush. I'm hoping fervently that he's going to find that leopard. Anyway, in the meantime, we've got quite an interesting caterpillar to show you. I suspect the caterpillar from a emperor moth, probably quite similar to this adult that we showed you a little bit earlier, in the early stages. And this chap has been sitting in a little Tupperware for most of the day on his favoured food source, and that's what he's sitting on now. And I'll move it across a little bit there, and you can see there, this is that beautiful flower called the string of stars, or Heliotropum. Helio, of course, meaning sun. So that's what this is. And just look at the incredible colors. What I will try and do, I think you'd come back to my face before you get nauseous from me trying to focus on this fellow. But we'll go in and take a slightly closer look at the hair on him. I'll just quickly focus I say quickly, I will attempt to quickly focus this rather finicky little piece of equipment that we have there. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Let's go across back to the microscope, and there you can see the white and black hairs, and that orange and black coloration with a bit of white and yellow, apart from being spectacularly lovely to look at under a microscope, is also aposomatic. In other words, it indicates that this caterpillar may well have some kind of a toxin in it, and perhaps that's why he's colored like that. So wonderful caterpillar, this probably from an emperor moth feeding on Heliotropium. Right, let's get rid of him. The next thing I want to show you, I'll prepare for you. And we had a little quiz earlier, and Raisa in Finland and Kirsty, probably in final control, got the answer correct. I looked at something under the microscope and I said, would you put it in your mouth? And I noticed neither of them answered that question. They did get the answer correct. It was a potato chip that Scott Dyson was consuming, and I just thought it looked so foul under a microscope. I wondered if anyone would ever put that in their mouths again. Right, the next thing I have to show you, before we put him under the microscope, is called a zigzag fruit chaffer. And we've seen a number of fruit chaffers while we've been in the tent here, and this little fellow likes to eat flowers and fruits, and the larvae, which of course he's a beetle, so he's fully metamorphic. He will produce a larvae that lives in the soil apparently, and sometimes they don't even form cocoons, they just kind of pupate in the soil, sometimes under dung and sometimes just under sort of compost. Let's have a look at him under the microscope quickly. He may run away. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Look at that incredible picture of his elytra. The elytra, remember, are the wing casings. So they used to be, in more primitive insects, those would have been wings, those casings there. And once he opens them, you can see the slit down the middle of that casing, and you can see them moving. Under them are the hind wings, and they will fold out when he flies off, and these elytra close over him and make him sort of safe, I guess. They provide a nice hard covering, but they're modified wings that are now totally useless for flying. The other interesting thing about them, I think, is that they look a bit like that moth. They look a bit like eyes. And I think sometimes these animals have got eyes on the back of their backs because they're not quite as big as some other animals, and perhaps those eyes make potential predators think that they might be bigger than they are. So if you look back at this moth, we'll just have another quick look at the moth. The moth there. If I was a potential predator and I was just wandering straight past and I saw that, I might think, whoa, that looks like a large-headed insect. As, oh, this chap's getting in on the act now. Oh, he's gone. Isn't that wonderful? This chap is not going to fly ever again. He is deceased. X no longer. So, looks like it might be a face. Right, let's head back to Peter. He is on Arathusa. He is going backwards as we speak. I mean that in the physical sense. We'll see you in just a little while.
Creeper plant, like a little cucumber almost. Hello guys, welcome back. Lots of interesting insects, and this is probably the best time of the year for insects. I mean the whole summer, but in because they can hide in all this cover. So look at all these small things, and I know everyone, and I mean everyone in camp is now into this, not just one or two people showing and finding things, and show and tell and show and share and learn together. Very cool. We haven't really found much else. We've just been sort of doing what you do on safari a lot of the time. It's just enjoying the drive, enjoying the view, talking a bit, getting to know each other a bit better, and of course anything can happen. We might bump into something. Keep in mind we do still have the potential for a leopard any time really. It could be quite soon, next few minutes, maybe a bit longer. So just enjoy the drive with us. Trisha, welcome and drive. I believe you're relatively new with us. Hello Trisha, welcome and drive. I believe you're relatively new with us, but you've been doing many drives already. But this is going to be your first big cat week, and I presume that might be the case for many of you. Trisha was just saying that it's her first big cat week. We'll be looking at the same characters that we do on these drives. Karula, Shadow, the leopards, you know, being obviously sort of some of the lead characters, if you want. Trisha, yeah, I mean the experience it's exactly this. We don't do anything different. Same cars, same people. It's just that we obviously ramp up the intensity a little bit for Big Cat Week, because it's a very exciting time for us here on the ground. It's also a very exciting week for National Geographic and Nat.Geo Wild North America. it's you know, it's the big cats. It's great stuff to see. I've seen some of the promos that are going to be running for it. As everything with Nat.Geo Wild, absolutely beautiful, stunning, you know, visuals, beautiful cats. So all the program is going to be brilliant. From the live point of view, from the Safari Live experience, it is what we do every day, same thing. Just as I said, we've got, you know, everyone here, and I find that, I guess because of that sort of heightened energy, sometimes crazy things happen. We've had some crazy experiences last year during Big Cat Week. October, some of the trials we did earlier this year with Mother's Day, the live drives we've had. It seems that when there's suddenly, you know, hundreds of thousands of people coming along and drive, it's like the energy picks up a little bit. So I'm very excited. I know everyone here at camp is very excited. We're all looking forward to it. And great, I've been waiting for that as well, actually, but you can get it firsthand. Hayden's going to give you a bit of an update on where they're at with finding the leopard. I don't think they've found it yet, but maybe there while they do. Otherwise, I'll see you back here in a bit.
So folks, incredibly exciting stuff. The bloodhound. He and the other bloodhounds found leopard. They found it just down here, mate, yeah?
Just over here. In this really thick drainage line. Well, Steph and Jamie actually spotted it first. Brian and I were fiddling around, and so we can't take all the credit on this one, I'm afraid. Jamie actually spotted it, from what Steph was saying, and we're hoping it's that male leopard that the tracks we're following this morning. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find it with the car yet, but that doesn't mean we're not going to.
So we're going to just crack on with this, and we will come back to you immediately as soon as we find it. We're going to cross back to Pete. I'm with him.